Hi, this is Sophie Mihalko, and today we are going to talk about receiving the greatness of you. How does it get any better than that? So, I am a certified facilitator of access consciousness, and what that means is that I invite people to create possibilities in their lives that they may not have considered, or they have a good reason or a good justification for not choosing those possibilities. And welcome to those who just joined us. And I was looking at that because I have people who are starting to choose greater things in their lives. And then at the last minute, just before it happens, they back out, right? They back out of choosing something greater. And they have very good reasons for backing out. So they'll tell me they don't have the money, they don't have the time, they don't know what they're doing, all of that. Okay, cool. Now, I want you to remember, to know and remember, if you already knew this, that any justification, any reason that you give yourself for not doing something is an excuse, okay? Any justification, any reason that you give yourself for not doing something is an excuse. Now, you can continue to listen to your justifications and your reasons if that works for you. That's awesome. But if you really want more in your life, you're going to have to acknowledge that those are just excuses. And a lot of times, what is underneath that is simply that you don't consider yourself to be great or so great that people would want your contribution in their lives, or that you could ask and receive what it is you're asking for. And so because of that, today I would like to get you to see how great you truly are. And welcome everyone. How great you truly are. Now, here's the first thing you need to look at. You're not great. And you are great. It does not matter what you say. It's still true. Whether you say, I'm great or I'm not great, it's still going to be true. Because when you say this, you're actually just looking at what's in this moment. In this moment, you may be great, and some other moments you may not be so great. So it does not really matter whether it's true or not true. Who cares? What matters is how you are choosing to show up in your life. Are you choosing to show up as somebody who is pathetic, as somebody who needs something from someone else? Or are you choosing to show up as a real and true contribution to the world? See, that is the difference, is how are you choosing to show up? Whether you are great or not, there's so many ways we can look at that, right? So many ways. But how are you choosing to show up? So I know that somebody wanted to be on the Zoom and couldn't be because it was too late for them. And they were asking me to talk about receiving. So let's talk about receiving. Usually this is an exercise that I do in my classes with somebody else. But imagine that this hand is another person and this hand is me. Okay, so I'm going to give, so this person is going to give this person the pen. All right, now here's how in this reality most people receive. This person wants to give a pen, and then the other person, thank you, gets it and holds on to it. That's how most people receive. They hold on to things. Now, this is how I would like you to consider receiving. So this person is going to give the pen to this person. Here's a pen. Oh, a pen. And now puts it down and opens up to receive more. So the true receiving means that you acknowledge what it is. You acknowledge that it's a pen, and then you let it go. No judgment, just acknowledgement of what it is, not a good pen or a bad pen, just what it is, and then let it go. That's true receiving, okay? Shoji, I saw that you want to ask a question. Let me just finish this and I'll get to you, okay? Now, when you're receiving you, you have to receive what is actually going on, not what you would like it to be, not what your mother or father have told you you are, but what is actually going on. So for instance, I'm a messy person. I know it. I acknowledge it. I'm messy. Now, do I judge myself for it? No. Do I sometimes want to change it? Sometimes, yes. But I'm messy. I just acknowledge it. That's receiving me. Now, how can I receive the greatness of me if I judge that messy is bad? I can't. So I have to acknowledge who I am and how I am without judging me. Then if I do that, then I will be able to receive how great I am. But if I judge myself, there's no way that I can receive this, okay, or receive how great I am. Shruti, do you have a question?
Yes, Sophie, thank you
Okay.
so much. How did I
You're
get so lucky? First, I have to acknowledge that I
welcome.
just saw this on the Facebook, and thank you for sharing the Zoom link. Uh,
Sure.
so, um, so, the question here is, prior to access, which has come to me in my life and living as a beautiful gift, I did not even know, and that sex means receiving. And I
Uh-huh.
have been married twice, and both the times I had abuse related to it.
Right.
And I don't physically have a partner. So, you know, it is there. It is like when we say, why don't you pay to sleep with a man? And I have my barriers coming up. It's like
Okay.
I go in the
So
wrongness of it.
can I correct something first? Because we don't actually say that sex is receiving. We say that there are two ways to receive in this reality. Those two ways are through money and sex. Okay?
Okay.
So when you're having sex, like copulation, when you're having copulation with someone, in order for it to be great, you're going to receive everything. Now, a lot of time what happens is people don't actually receive and they go into judgment and conclusion, and therefore the sex is bad. The other way to receive in this world is through money. Do you receive money?
Yes.
Yes. And do you have
Yes.
problems in receiving money?
I feel shy to ask even from my students.
Cool. Okay. So that is because you're not receiving you. Okay. So let's look at this. Let's look at what will it take for you all to receive who you are. Leave the money, leave the sex on the side right now. I just want you to start receiving who you are. Now, receiving who you are does not mean you're going to go down, okay, I'm a woman, I'm this old, I'm pretty, I'm fat, I'm old. Like, no, it's not what I'm talking about. It's who you are. You could acknowledge that you are an infinite being who sometimes acts like they're a finite being. You could acknowledge that you are a great mom who sometimes gets frustrated. You could acknowledge that you're a great teacher and sometimes you don't want to teach. Whatever it is, you acknowledging you is actually receiving who you are. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay, hold on. What will it take for you to receive you with no judgment? Everything that is not allowed that, will you please uncreate and destroy it all? Right, one good, bad,
Yes.
fuck, bad, on us, but short, I have to tell you, unfortunately, what it takes is total awareness and choosing to not receive the judgment. So not receive, I mean, let me rephrase this because you all always want to receive the judgment, but not judge the judgment. Because what
Yes.
happens with judgment, let's say that you wake up in the morning, you get dressed, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm fat. Okay. If you say to yourself, I'm bad for judging myself as fat, then you're screwed. But if you say, oh, I just judge myself as fat, cool, then it's all good. See what I mean? So
Yes.
receiving is simply noticing without judging. And so you can notice, oh, cool, I am a teacher that's receiving and acknowledging who you are, and I receive money for my teaching. That's acknowledging and receiving who you are. And I am sure, surely, that you have changed people's lives through your teaching, right?
Yes. Yes.
Do you also acknowledge that?
I have started. Yes. I'm
Cool.
very grateful.
Yeah.
I've been hosting so many people from America for access classes since the time I started hosting post October, my second COP with Gary. I've
Uh-huh.
hosted 4 to 5 facilitators, international facilitators in India. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
So,
So yeah, so acknowledge, all of you, acknowledge the greatness. So this is a little exercise that I'm going to ask you to do, which is to write down everything that you're judging yourself about. Okay, write it down and ask yourself, okay, what's great about this that I'm not acknowledging? What's great about this that I'm not acknowledging? And then start acknowledging it. So there are 2 ways you can start acknowledging it. Like, you can just say to yourself, wow, I'm really this. That's awesome. I'm good at this. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I manipulated you guys a little bit in my email that I sent with the Zoom information, because I said, I am such a great facilitator that by the end of this call, you'll call yourself great. And that's me acknowledging me. Now, am I a great facilitator? Sometimes. Am I a bad facilitator? Sometimes. It's never the same all the time. And I'm sure there are some people who are like, yeah, I don't care for her. And some people, oh, I love her. It's all good. None of it is important or significant. But if I don't consider myself great, then I will not be able to receive and share with you what I know is possible for you. So you've got to write down everything you judge about yourself and ask yourself that question, well, what is great about that? And you don't have to come up with what is great about that. It's not about coming up with, like, convincing yourself that it's great. It's just acknowledging it. What is great about that? I wonder, what is great about stealing money from my parents when I was a kid? I wonder, what is great about having 30 kilos too much? Like, what is great about not having a partner in life? Oh, what is great about having people sign up for my classes, etc., etc. And just asking this, now you're becoming the greatness. Why is that? When we ask a question, that is one of the secondary effects of the question, besides bringing us awareness, is that we now start to become the energy of the question. So when you say, what is great about that? Now you're starting to become that greatness.
mm-hmm.
Shuri, is that helpful?
That is very helpful. Um, could I ask another thing attached to it?
Yeah.
Like, since a child, I had been seeing that I was not receiving men. When somebody, as in my college days, also a boy would come to hug me, I would autopilot just do namaste to him instead of hugging, or I would run away from men. And is that I'm not receiving um, or not having a partner, right? I mean, I really don't get it what it has been with
Okay.
receiving men.
Okay.
Uh, and on
So
contrary, in my just a second, and in my
yeah.
contrary, in my business place where I'm freelancing as a fashion designer, there are 20 men working under me. And my brother-in-law, for whom I'm working, for most of the things, he would ask me rather than my elder sister for the decisions, because he knows my greatness and acknowledges my awareness. So, why? What is it that when it comes to
Okay.
marriage or to have a lover or a boyfriend, I don't receive it?
All right. So let me ask you this. So what have you decided men know that if you if you allow yourself to receive what they know would force you into being great? And everything that is times a godzillion. Would you please uncreate and destroy it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, NAS,
Yes.
and beyond. It could be something that they know or that they be, either one. So also, how many lifetimes were you a man?
Plenty.
And as a man, did you kill? Did you hurt? Did you steal?
Wait.
Rape? Yeah. And so do you now have this distance, this separation from men because you never want to have that again in your life, right? So everything
Yes.
that is times a godzillion, would you please uncreate and destroy it all? Right, on, good, bad, POC, POD,
Yes.
NAS, shirts and beyond. Now, also, if you acknowledge the part of you that is like the man, so as aware as the man, as big and great as the man, now
Yes.
it won't really matter if the person in front of you is a man or woman anymore. Because it's not about doing something different with men. It's just about acknowledging all the parts of you so that it does not matter who is in front of you, you still be you. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Like, be you no matter what.
Yes, I get it.
Awesome.
Thank you
Awesome.
so much. Thank
And
you so
also, everywhere you've decided that receiving somebody means to hug them, will you please uncreate and destroy all of it times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good,
Yes,
bad, I don't
yes.
ask for shirts and beyond. I don't know if you have ever been around an autistic child, but an autistic child will not let you touch them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that does not mean you cannot receive them.
Mm-hmm.
Receiving them in that moment would just be being present with them with no judgment. That's it. But it doesn't mean touching them or hugging them or anything like that. Same thing with men.
Wow. So what is it that when Gary talks about that if you don't have a man in your life, you just pay and enjoy and have sex. I just, I go still with my barriers up, and just by thinking about receiving or paying someone to have sex is like,
Okay, he's actually not talking about copulation in that case.
yes,
Okay,
receiving.
right. But don't receiving sex or doing the sex that Gary's talking in that sentence is not copulation. It's,
Mm-hmm.
it's the sex he's talking about is the energy of people looking at your body and enjoying it.
Yes.
That's all it is. So don't go to the conclusion that you need to have sex. Just like Gary's giving you the energy of you can just go and receive everything that everybody's projecting at you, enjoy it, receive it without necessarily having to go to copulation.
Mm.
You can choose copulation, but you don't have to.
Mm. I do get
And
it.
where do you live, Shruti?
India.
India. Okay. So India has a very interesting dynamic with sex, right? So there's a lot of cultural like extremes. There's
Yes.
the the don't do it, and there's the go for it, right? All of it. So what if you were the person who actually made it all okay? So what if by your experience and you being you completely, neither one choosing to have copulation and choosing not to have copulation, what if neither one was better than the other one? What if who you were being was simply the person who makes everybody feel okay about their choice?
That's so ease. That is so much of ease. So, I was just reading my advanced money workbook today, And there was
Uh-huh.
this question, this chapter on sex and copulation and money, and this line over here, which Gary says, "What choice can I make today that would create money right away?
Uh-huh.
What sexual choice could I make today that would make money for me right away?"
Uh-huh.
So, when the word actually sex comes, my barriers have reduced going up, but
Uh-huh.
still there is a charge with it. Could you,
Okay. So everything that you've met sex mean, will you please include and destroy all of that times a godzillion? Bye,
yes,
goodbye,
yes.
on as short Samian. Do you know what the judgment process is?
Hmm.
Do you know that
Could we
process with the
just run
four
around
questions?
men and sex?
No, the judgment process is what do you judge about sex? What do you judge about having sex with sex? What does sex judge about you, and what does sex judge about sex with you? When you ask those four questions, you'll get something. You clear that afterwards, and that will actually help you be a lot more okay with sex. So sex has become this huge like problem in the world. And just to let you guys know, I'm French, and being French in America is a very interesting experience because people expected me to know a lot about sex or to want to talk about sex a lot when I first came here, and I didn't. And I was a virgin when I first came here, so it was really not my cup of tea. And Gary asked me to actually use all the projections and the judgments people had of me around sex to my advantage. And it has changed my life completely. In fact, now I'm going to go at the end of the month of March, I'm going to go to London, and I'm going to facilitate a class called Living Your Life as the Never Ending Orgasm. Right?
Wow, what if we
Because,
could have that in India too?
well, why not? I'll come to India.
I'm
But
ready to host you.
awesome. But the truth is, like, this energy of, if you look at the energy of sex and you make it something a lot greater than what this really says it is, you will actually become it. So you don't need to start thinking about it. You don't need to start pushing away from it. Nothing like that. You will actually start becoming it, and then life will become this giant orgasm all the time. Okay.
Yes, yes,
If you want more of that, just, like I said, let go of any judgment you have about sex. Okay. I want to
yes,
go there. We've had a couple questions coming through that are a little bit related to what we're talking about. So I want to talk about that. Um, can you talk about a little about being all of us, even when others are not ready to receive that from us, giving them only what they can receive, a connection point, please? Okay. So first of all, if you do connection point, you have to reduce who you are. Okay. A connection point is, you know how people say, I feel so connected to you. That the problem is when they do that, they have a perspective, a point of view, and they realize you have the same perspective or point of view. And so if you look for that point of connection, you're limiting who you be to that point of view. So of course, everybody is going to have points of views. Even you have points of views. I have points of views. We all have points of views, right? So don't worry too much about the points of views. And here's the thing. You can always be you at all times, but being you does not mean that you're going to be something that people cannot receive. Let me explain what I mean. So for instance, I love making jokes, right? I love making faces, and I love doing the puck and pod and all of that. But when I'm around people who are business people and who never heard of Access and who are very serious, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do the puck and pod with my hands. I'm not going to make faces. I'm going to be the energy that they can receive. And I'm still being me. It's not because I'm not doing the things that I love to do that I'm not being me. I'm still being me, right? So everywhere that you've decided being you, hold on, being you means only doing what you want to do and love to do, will you please uncreate and destroy all of that times ago I've
Yes,
done it.
yes,
Right, wrong,
yes,
good, bad, fuck,
yes.
pardon, ask, but shut, and beyond. And these people are giving you a gift because what they're saying is, we know there's a part of you that we are interested in, and we would like to receive that part of you. Please give it to us. But this is the part that we're asking to receive. So, for instance, some people have decided that I'm great at public speaking, that I know a lot of things. So it's awesome. I love that. Now they come to, or not actually, let's do YouTube, because the public speaking is something else. So I went to YouTube school. I'm what we call a YouTube specialist. So I know a little bit more information about YouTube. Now, quite a few people have come to me asking me for help with their YouTube channel. I don't actually teach classes. Don't ask me to teach a class about that, because it changes all the time. And I will give people advice from time to time, but I don't actually consult on this anymore. However, it is very cool that they think I know so much, because now we can start a conversation. So even though talking about YouTube is not my cup of tea, that's not really what I'm interested in talking about, when I'm with them, I can totally talk about YouTube and then say, the cool thing about YouTube is I can be anything I want to be, and the people who like it will find it. And then boom, I just put something about being you. Even though in the beginning, they really didn't care about being you. So those what you call a point of connection, forget that expression, leave that expression on the side, use what they're giving you to your advantage, so you can start the conversation and maybe bring in something else. Okay? So I hope okay. I love the wow. Awesome. Okay. I want to talk about, somebody asked me, sent me a question earlier, and the question was, she wants to receive more than what she has decided she can receive. So, like, she has no problem receiving free stuff, but things that, are worth a lot of money or that cost a lot of money, she has a harder time receiving that. Okay. And there is that greatness. So let's talk about greatness and money. First of all, money has nothing to do with how great you are. Like, you are not your bank account in any way, shape, or form. You're not the jewelry you wear, none of that, okay? It's absolutely not who you are. Now, receiving what this can contribute to your life and to somebody else's life is actually going to create more in the world and in your life. So, for instance, a gentleman takes you out to dinner and wants to invite you to the greatest restaurant in town and wants to give you, I don't know, maybe a piece of jewelry or something really expensive. Does that mean you have to go sleep with him? No. What he's doing is he's honoring how great you are and what a contribution you are in his life. What you do to thank him is to receive it. If you don't receive the gifts that he wants to give you, then it's very unkind. That does not mean that you have to give him anything in exchange. You can if you want, but honoring it is receiving it. And also, don't make it more significant. It's not because he gave you this that you're going to have to be or do anything later or in the future. You can receive it in the moment. And I talked about this, but let's look also at receiving judgment, for instance. So one thing that's really challenging for me is because I'm French. I was raised in France, but I've lived in America for a long time. I don't actually I have a very, very different perspective on some of the major issues in America, especially social issues. So it's really challenging for me to sit down and listen to people talk about racism and gender issues, because I have a different perspective and I can tell what it is they're missing, right? But I have learned that if I point out what they're missing, I'm going to get slapped. They will not receive it, because if I do that, I'm judging them as not having enough information or perspective on something. Okay. So I've learned that receiving judgment in this case is that they're going to judge me as not understanding because I'm not from America. So what I do is I say, you're right. I would love to know more about what it is you're talking about, without judging them and without trying to convince them otherwise. And the last time I finally was able to do this, took me a while, but the last time I was finally able to do this, at the end, they turned to me and they say, you know, actually, I think you're right. I think we need to look at this in a greater perspective. Bingo. All I did was listen without judgment. So when you acknowledge how great you are, people can go ahead and judge you all they want. It won't matter. Okay? It won't matter. And so you've got to do that list I gave you at the beginning. Please do the list of everything you think is effed up about you and ask yourself, what's great about this that I'm not seeing? Okay?
Wow.
Whew, that was a lot of energy.
Thank you. You are phenomenal, Sophie. You are phenomenal.
Thank you. Is there anyone who has another question? Jackie, Kate, anyone? Vioma? There's a lovely woman whose name I will not pronounce because I'm going to butcher it. But Peggy, anybody?
Can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, when we were listening to this call of manipulation, how can we use manipulation with consciousness and receive money in our business or in my freelance area or with clients?
So
Would you like to talk about it?
where have you decided that you don't manipulate people already?
I have always been, what we call in India the saint. So for me, lies and manipulation was the wrongness, and I would totally wrong people for telling lies or
Okay.
manipulating.
Do you sell
So
anything? Do you receive money for
always,
something?
I,
What do you
I
say?
for 20 years, I have been a freelance fashion designer and I sell
Okay.
clothes. And 15 years, I'm into energy work. So
Okay.
I
So
sell every day.
let's talk about fashion design, okay? How do people find out about your design? Do they see them online? Do they see models? How do they find out about it?
They see models.
They see models. Okay. So, and I'm sure, what kind of models do you use?
Not models in that way. I do exhibitions and I have a store here. So I
Okay.
have tactile clothes and they come and they buy it.
Okay. So you have tactile. So people touch, yeah? Okay.
Yes.
So how much are you manipulating people into buying through the touch? Because they enjoy the touch so much that that's how they're buying it. That's
Yes.
manipulation. Now you don't call it manipulation because you're like, but I'm telling the truth. It doesn't matter. Okay? You're still manipulating them into doing something that will create more for both parties. You, because you'll get money, and them, because they'll enjoy your designs. So
Yes.
everywhere
Yes.
that you guys are not willing to acknowledge how great of a manipulator you truly are, will you please and create and destroy it all? Good, bad, pourquoi,
Yes.
don't ask, prochain, 5 million. And if somebody's listening to this and has never heard me talk about manipulation, there's another seminar on the YouTube channel called The Secret of Manipulation that you can watch.
Wow.
And manipulation is something that will always create more for both parties, because unless you hold a gun to their heads, people will never choose something that they don't want to choose in the end. All you're doing when you're manipulating is you're giving them the information they require in order to make that choice. Okay? And
It
any of
just
us who... Go ahead.
it just went over my head. The last part.
So what if what if you didn't have to think about manipulation? Okay? Like, don't think about it. Instead, be the catalyst for everyone to have more in their life. Now, if you be the catalyst for everyone to have more in their life, you're going to very organically find the words, find the ways of being that will get these people to have more in their life. Whether it's your designs, whether it's a class you're teaching, it doesn't matter. They will have more in their life because you will have find the right words to tell them what it will create. That's manipulation, but you don't have to think about it as manipulation. The only thing is, if you're not willing to manipulate people, people will manipulate you.
Yes, that has always happened with me.
Right. So the day that you finally be like, okay, so what if I was the greatest manipulator ever? And what if I enjoyed it and had fun with it? What will my life look like? And you're
I
smiling.
totally choose to enjoy it now. After listening to Gary's manipulation and the way you've just spoken it, it's like bloody had been manipulated in my life, in my marriage. I did not even know that is manipulation. And I really choose to be that energy now
I
for
know.
all the fun and joy. For all the fun
I
and
know.
joy.
Okay.
Ah,
We have
Sophie,
a great question. Yeah, go ahead.
can I add something that I just
Yeah.
thought of, which is
Yeah,
kind of
Katie.
an
Yeah.
analogy? Like if you're making certain types of bread, you need to manipulate the dough. And if you didn't manipulate the dough, the bread won't turn out right.
yeah.
Manipulate the dough, and the bread's going to be better, and everybody's going to enjoy it more, but you have to manipulate the dough.
Exactly.
Thank you
Exactly.
so much.
So somebody's asking, what will it take to manipulate my husband to let me go in access classes? He manipulated my whole family against me in access. Who lies I am using to create a struggle to become maestro access? Okay. Right. So I would first, right away, I would poke and pot everywhere that I've made going to access important and significant. Because if you carry that energy around and your husband basically is doing everything he can for you not to have anything that you care about, then, or that you think is important, then you're giving him power, you're giving him ammunition. So instead, what I would suggest you do is first poke and pot everywhere that you've made going to access classes important and significant, okay? So that it becomes more of a choice and not an obligation. Second of all, I don't know if you've ever heard Gary talk about what women should do to their husband after an access class. I will not mention it on this video because it's going to be public, but you can guess. And what I would recommend is that you allow your husband to connect access and you going to access classes with what he wants in life. So let's say that he wants more money, that he wants more, I don't know, a greater car or anything that he wants, that he desires. You've got to help him make the connection. Now, you don't necessarily say, in access, you talk about this, but you can start being like, oh, yeah, if you put 10% of your everything that comes in every day, every month, then you will actually start having a have account and you will become the energy that will allow you to have more money. You may want to try that. You don't even have to say access. And then he's going to be like, oh my gosh, my money has increased. Why is that? Oh, I gave you that access tool. Boom, you just connected it. Okay, you're going to have to tell me more about what's separation between the two ideas. Like, tell me more, what is that separation? Because I don't know what you mean by that. She says there's some separation between the two ideas for me. The other thing is, there's so many ways today to get the access tools where you don't necessarily have to go to class. So there are a lot of books. There are a lot of webinars. Like I'm doing this, that Gary and Dane have, there's the Access Consciousness Voice America show. There's all kind of ways that you can get the access tools without necessarily going to class. Now, does that mean classes are not useful? No, that doesn't mean that. What I'm saying is you can start knowing the tools, using the tools, being the tools so much that people around you start changing. When you don't have a point of view about what other people choose, that's when they start choosing greater. If you have a point of view about what they're choosing, they're not going to choose greater just to because you want them to choose greater, so they're not, right? So when you be the tools, things around you start changing and shifting. You've got to poke and prod everywhere that you make this a problem. And if Chutisa Bowman was here, she would say, Chutisa is a brilliant facilitator. I adore her. And she would say, what if this was not a problem? What if this was a possibility? Right, Jackie? That's what she would say, right? So what if this was a possibility, not a problem? Okay? So, Vioma?
I have a question when you're done.
Yes, Jackie, go ahead.
So I posted on Facebook a couple of days ago, what would your life be like if you didn't live in pain?
Mm-hmm.
And I got all of these. Oh, I opened up a fucking can of worms. Like, oh dear Lord. And,
How does it get any better than that? Do you mean that people should?
I went into beyond myself, and I was like, why the hell have I done this? And pain is going to do this, and pain is going to do that. So. And I made myself wrong because in some scenarios, I didn't know how to reply.
Right.
Perfect reply. So, oh my gosh. So I don't even know what a question is here, but
Well, okay, so maybe if you didn't know what to reply, maybe there was nothing to reply. Maybe you replying would not have created more. So don't judge yourself for that. Okay, so how great are you for not knowing when not to reply, right?
Okay.
Oh,
I love that. Thank you.
How great are you for not knowing how to reply? Okay, now the other thing is, truth, has this really made pain significant and valuable?
Oh, fuck yeah.
So if you're going to talk about pain, people are going to show you how significant and valuable it is to them, right?
Yeah.
And you could say, okay, so even though I know you do access classes and a lot of you take access classes, we still have pain in our life. However, what do we do when pain shows up? What do we do?
battle down, pocket pod.
Ask a question.
We ask questions. Yeah, we ask questions. And also, we don't make it wrong, right?
Yeah.
We're like, oh, this showed up. Okay, cool. The other thing is, some of us, we call it intensity instead of pain. There's an intensity which takes the charge off of it too. So what if now you could follow up and I'm so grateful for all the people that responded to my last post, and I would like to continue taking you on this journey with me. What if you called pain intensity? What would that create? Now, that would work for some people. There are other people it wouldn't work because they've made pain very important, meaning they don't want to call it anything else but pain, right? So those people are probably not going to be your clients. They're probably not going to be people you're going to want to work with. So just be grateful that you've created for yourself a wonderful filter. There's a lot of people on Facebook who may not be interested in what you have to offer. Do you agree?
Yeah. One of the things I noticed was the people who replied were people I didn't even know were my friends on Facebook. Like,
so, Jackie,
who are you?
Did you get to see how much of an impact you have in the world?
Holy fuck, no, thank you.
Woo-hoo! I know, when you post something controversial, people who never talk to you are going to start to talk to you. Absolutely. Use it to your advantage. So this is the other thing is, I I don't know how many of you here think you are different, or maybe you've had people call you weird at some point, or strange, or just you don't function like everybody else. But just know that that's the greatness of you, right? Like all that weirdness about you, all the stuff that people are like, oh, you're weird. That's what's great about you. And it does not matter that you don't know like how you can use it to your advantage yet. You don't know how you can make money, all of that. It doesn't matter. Just know that that's the greatness of you. And little by little, you start using it. You'll see, you'll start using it.
Thank you. I also want to mention that thank you for your conversation about not making access classes significant, because I have been. Yeah. Like we had the ESB here last weekend and I didn't have the money to go. And I was so fucking pissed off at myself. And then I was even more angry when I saw the people whom I know at the class. And all this jealousy came up and I had to do the distractor implants. And then I wanted to go for the abuse whole class this weekend. And I'm just like, what the hell am I doing? So.
Yeah, so you see when you make something significant, then you did not actually ask any questions. You just be like, oh, it's terrible, it's terrible, it's terrible. You can't even ask questions when you make something significant, right? And I have to tell you that some of the most potent classes I've been at, I did not have any reason for going. No reason at all. It's just like, oh, I'll go to that class. And then it was amazing. The classes that I had a reason to go because it was going to change something or I needed to do it for this or that, they were good, but they were not as potent.
Yeah, it's like the happy mouth class. Right? Yeah. I don't even have problems with my mouth.
I know.
And I'm at the freaking happy mouth class.
Yeah.
And, I had a radio show about it a few days ago. I'm just like, right.
That's awesome. So
thank you so much, Sophie.
Oh, you're so welcome. And everywhere that you guys are not acknowledging how many people you are already influencing, manipulating, impacting with who you be every day. Would you please uncreate and destroy all of that times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, fuck, pardon, as bullshits and beyond. This is not just for Jackie. This is for everyone. You've got to start acknowledging, even if you're the housewife who's married and taking care of the kids every day, not going to work, I know that you're influencing the kids, you're influencing the neighbors, you're influencing the people you do business with every day. You are already creating a greater world by simply being you. Okay? And being you can also mean screaming at the kids on top of your lungs to get ready for school. Because I do that a lot in the morning, right? But you know what? My kids kind of know that I care. I care that they be on time at school. That's why I'm screaming. Now, we're working out, and there's a lot less screaming than there used to be, but they know I care. So even if you're acting like this weirdo woman in the grocery store because your child is bugging the heck out of you, how great are you for waking up the world? Maybe there's somebody who didn't care about their life and then saw you and they're like, oh my gosh, my life is great now because I don't have that problem. You don't know. So how great are you? How great are you? Please do the exercise. Write down everything you think is not right or wrong with you. And please acknowledge you and ask what is great about this that I'm not seeing.
So, Sophie, is the judgment also the meaning process, those 4 questions?
Yeah, those are the judgment, meaning process. Same questions, just different words. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but she had a lot of judgment around the sex, so that's why I use that. I could use meaning, but this was more judgment. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you are interested in what we're talking about, the judgment process, you're going to ask 4 questions. I know they're going to sound really strange. It doesn't matter. And anything that comes up after that, you can use a clearing statement to swap it out. If you don't know the clearing statement, please go to theclearingstatement.com, and also on my website at sophiemihalko.com, I also have a whole description about it. And so the questions are, what judgment do you have about the subject? What judgment do you have about sex with the subject? What judgment does sex have of you? And no, what judgment does this object have of you? And what judgment does this object have of you with the subject? And you use the closing statement after that, okay? Cool. I love that I have some French people on the call and they actually are understanding me. So that's awesome. I love it. All right. Anybody has any other question about acknowledging the greatness of you? Or any comments?
Just wanted to have more clarity, Sophie, over here. So before, when we go into the wrongness of ourselves, instead of going to the wrongness of ourselves with any situation or with any judgment or people, we ask, what is the greatness here?
What is great about this?
What is great about this?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. And a long time ago, I had a teacher who used to, like, she would say, I love that about me. Every time, like, she would mess up or she would do something bad in her mind, she would be like, I love that about me. And it really stuck with me because it just was so funny to me that she would say that. So like if she gained 5 pounds, I love that about me, you know. So use that. Like maybe, I think asking a question is a little more powerful than making a statement. So use the what is great about this that I'm not seeing. I think it's, but if you want to use, oh, I love that about me, use that too. I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you. Kate, to answer your question, they are not in the money workbook, those judgment questions. They should be in your choice of possibilities manual or financial manual. And also, if they're not in there, there may be in the reference material. This is an old process to judgment process. Okay. And if you guys are wondering what I'm talking about with all these classes, because you've never heard of Access Consciousness has a lot of classes, and there's kind of not really a hierarchy of classes, but there are some classes you can take and some that you have to take others before, etc., etc. But accessconsciousness.com has all the information there. Okay. I'm so grateful for this conversation. I'm so grateful that we talked about receiving and how great you are. If you doubt how great you are, just know you are first, and then ask, what is great about me that I'm not seeing, okay? What is great? And when you ask the question, you may get the awareness of what is great about you, but you will also become that energy of acknowledging what is great about you. All right?
Wow.
Awesome.
You are so awesome. Sophie, you rock my world.
Ditto.
We are in the same time zone. You rock my world.
Ditto.
Thank you, Jackie.
Ditto.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You are phenomenal. Thank you for showing that energy to us, to me. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. If you guys are interested, so at the end of March, I will be doing a 2-day class. It's an Access Consciousness specialty class, so it's a little different. I created it. It's called Living Your Life as the Never Ending Orgasm, and the website is neverendingorgasm.com. And that's at the end of March. I have classes all over the world all the time, and I'm so excited to be spreading this joy and to be telling the world how great you are. So thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Love you.
Thank you, Sophie.